Alright, look, before I even begin, please note the title. There's a key word in there, alright? If you look really closely, you squint your eyes just a tiny little bit, you'll see the word sorta. Okay, listen, I'm not transgender, I'm not an egg, you just gotta hear me out on this, alright? It'll make sense in a minute. The reason why I wrote sorta in the title at all was because I don't really want to be a girl per se. I suppose a more accurate term would be female androgynous biomass, which does play a role later in the story. I'll get into that, okay? But, for now, you just gotta hear me out. First off, yeah, I do gotta preface, I am a guy, a cisgender man. That's me, I'm your guy. And I don't know, I feel like most guys, I've kind of, had my moments where I felt uncomfortable being a guy. Mainly that boils down to the fact that I really don't like looking like a guy, especially in the past whenever I've gone through depressions, self-loathing, and I feel like I look even uglier than I actually am. It just makes me hate looking like a guy even more. Additionally, not to mention, I especially hate having like those parts that men tend to have. I freaking despise it so much. And that doesn't exactly mean that I'd rather have like the female alternative. Honestly, that's even worse to me. I mentioned in my last video very briefly that I am especially disgusted by that stuff and I want nothing to do with it. Okay? Look, I love being a guy in a lot of aspects, but, at the same time, looking or acting like one, it just sucks, man. Okay? And that's for a variety of reasons that I'll get into. Obviously, first, there's the fact that I just mentioned. I'm just not a fan of the old worm in my trousers, you feel me? Sometimes it just acts up in ways that I just don't want it to. It's like it's got a mind of its own, you feel me? More on that in another video I made called I Get Hard Around Cats. Please don't take that at face value. There's a lot more that goes into it, and I swear it's not as bad as it sounds. Please just freaking watch it, okay? My fault. But anywho, yeah, so there's that, and additionally, I feel like we all kind of know that, like, being a guy kind of is associated with having super rigid fashion, typically. And I mean, I'm not a very big fashion guy at all, but like, let's do a little thought experiment, okay? I want you to envision, all right, a basic guy. What does he look like? What is he wearing, okay? Chances are you imagine some freaking dude wearing a hoodie and jeans, a hoodie and gym shorts, a t-shirt and jeans, or a t-shirt and gym shorts. There's really not a whole lot to do, okay? Well, there is, there's plenty of like alt fashion and other sort of weird things. When you're really looking at it at face value, there aren't a whole lot of quote-unquote basic fits that you have as a guy. Girls, on the other hand, they got so many more to pick from, bro. They got variety, alright? It's like however you're feeling one morning, you could just switch up your entire style. It's like freaking insane. Like, they could just like do that, Obviously, there's exceptions too. But like, dude, overall, girls just look better. Okay? And yes, I know it's because girls just freaking take care of themselves, unlike guys. I mean, a lot of dudes I know literally just wash their hair with, like, a bar of soap. They don't wash their face, and they rarely ever wash the rest of their body. But, like, dude, here's the thing. No matter how good a man's hygiene is, hypothetically speaking, I just don't think there's a possibility that he can quite surpass or even rival a well-kept girl at all. And I stand by that. Now, aside from looks, I get the feeling, I don't know, I feel like I'd just be able to do more as a girl. You know what I mean? And what I mean by that, alright, is like, this is gonna sound super weird, but I feel like I'd be able to be closer to people as a girl. Like, I mean that both emotionally and physically. It feels weird being a guy and being within a 2-foot radius from another human being, alright, regardless of whether they're a guy or a girl or whatever. This isn't a thing about me being freaking gay or anything like that. That's not what this is, okay? It's just a constant thought that's racing through my head as a guy, and it's just like, what if they think I'm being creepy? What if they think I'm being some sort of weirdo lunatic that wants to touch them or something like that? There's so many awful thoughts that go through my head, and look, I know there are exceptions, but girls definitely do have it easier in that regard. It's sad to think about it, but like, it's a fact that guys tend to have more friends overall. They have much larger social networks, but those friendships just tend to be a lot more shallow and also far less intimate. Now, girls, on the other hand, they tend to have a lot fewer friends, but their friendships tend to be a lot more emotionally involved and intimate and, stuff like that. And again, I get it. It's like, there are exceptions. It's not like this for every single person. It's not like just because you're a girl, you're like genetically hardwired to freaking be better at socializing with people. That's not what I'm getting at. But whatever. That's besides the point. Anyways, though, I wanted to bring this term up again because earlier in the video I mentioned this term, female androgynous biomass nerd emoji, pointing emoji. This was actually a term that a friend of mine threw at me in a conversation while we were talking about this ridiculous anime called That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime. By the way, I just have to say, it's an awful show. It's so freaking weird, man. Honestly, like, if I had the choice to go back and watch it, I'd probably, want it, and if you haven't watched it yet, then I would also recommend that you don't do it, unless if you're, really into highly sexualized anime about, little girls or whatever the heck, man. Whatever you're into, bro, whatever floats your boat. But yeah, I was talking about how I wanted to be like the main character so bad. Basically, in the show, this character, he's a guy, he gets reincarnated as a slime, as the title suggests, but then later on he kind of turns into a girl thing or something, but he doesn't have any of the extra bits, neither male nor female. And I don't know why, man, but I remember watching the show when I was younger. I don't remember how old I was, probably 14, 15 or so, and I remember thinking that was really cool, man. Oh my gosh. Imagine what it would be like to just be a girl, but without having the girl parts and not having the guy parts either. That sounds freaking crazy, man. And it's for me personally, the reason why this appealed to me was because, throughout my life, I've been so utterly annoyed by my obnoxious woodpecker beating its stupid obnoxious beak against my pants that I've just wanted an escape from, masculinity as a whole. It's annoying, all right? Again, it's not I'd prefer the female equivalent, It's not my thing. So yeah, what does this all mean? I suppose I should probably get into that, right? Because I'm kind of just ranting and talking about how, oh yeah, I totally want to be a female androgynous biomass. But, what does that even freaking mean for me, all right? For me in my situation. I already got plenty of allegations for a variety of different things, mostly related to things like sexuality or gender identity. So, we're just going to add one more to the pile, all right? Now, look, people think I'm gay. People think I'm asexual. People think I'm basically anything else other than cis straight, alright? And whatever, okay? I'm pretty sure this is just another case of the old woke mind virus, but I could imagine that people might come to the hasty conclusion that I might be non-binary. I don't think I am, personally. That's not really what I feel like I identify with. I like being a guy. I like, being called he, him, or whatever, and I enjoy the perks that I have with being a guy. And it gives me a lot of freedom to express myself in ways that I see fit. Okay? Non-binary? Throw it over there with the rest of them. Yet another thing to add to my big book of useless information that nobody cares about. Seriously, it's whatever. I mean, it's a thought, that's for sure. But I definitely still feel like I'd be a lot more comfortable with calling myself a guy simply because that's what I see when I look in the mirror every morning. Additionally, over the years, I've learned to get more comfortable with just being a guy or whatever. And back then when I was a teenager, I hated a lot of things about myself. I hated the fact that I was a man or whatever. But now I've gotten a lot more accustomed to it. And I feel like in due time, I probably will get over this whole little androgynous biomass thought experiment of mine, all right? We'll see. I mean, I'm getting better with each and every passing day. I mean, at this rate, I'll be healed in no time. But yeah, that's my conclusion, all right? I'm a guy. A little guy who dreams just a little too big. Anywho, though, I'm kind of running out of things to talk about, so I'm going to go ahead and mention that I do have a Discord server. It's totally super awesome, opossum. You should totally come in. The link is in the description. and people also draw all this beautiful fan art, and I'm going to go ahead and put on the screen. I have no idea what it's going to be this time, but I guess I'll see when I'm editing this video later. But yeah, super duper cool. I totally recommend that you come into my server and everything. Additionally, yes, I also gotta mention this, okay? I am also doing server memberships. I don't mean to spoil the fun or anything, okay? But there may or may not be an ASMR video in the near future, so you might want to stick around for that. I mean, potentially, okay? That's kind of what I'm leaning towards. I think that'll be fun. There are 2 tiers. One of them is like $5 and the other is $6. $5 is just like if you really feel like you want to support me. Obviously, no pressure or anything. This isn't me begging for your money or anything like that. It's just that, I've gotten people contacting me saying that they were interested in it. So I figured I'd do it, but at the same time, I kind of felt scummy just, doing that, and I feel like, offering a little something extra. And that's when the extra dollar comes in, okay? The extra dollar. There is going to be a Gato Fanglo ASMR video sometime in the future. Please look forward to it if you're interested in it. But yeah, I guess I'm just going to end this little video there. Thank you very much for tuning in, and I guess I'll see you guys in the next one then. Yeah, bye!